Do you think that the markets are losing faith in the ability of central banks to deliver monetary policy in the way that they have been since the financial crisis? Are we reaching an inflection point here?
No, I don't think so. I do think that the ECB still has room to ease policy if needed. The fact that Draghi didn't do that right now at the meeting that was just held is just to prepare for it. I think this will come in December, especially when the new forecast for 19 will be available.
Do you not think, though, that there is a sense within central banks, and I take this cue more from what's happening at the BOJ than I do at the ECB, but I heard it from Draghi as well a little bit, that they're reconsidering what they're doing. They're wondering whether or not some of the unintended consequences, say a very flat yield curve, are as desirable as maybe first talked about, and maybe actually they need to start rethinking that and reshaping policy accordingly.
Well, you talked about Japan, Abenomics, the three arrows. I think it's generalized feeling that of the three arrows, one, monetary policy, has been pushed to the extreme, while the other two, both in Europe and in Japan, they've been lagging behind. So I think central banks, in particular Draghi, but also Kuroda-san, are asking for the other two arrows to be more effective, because nothing can be done only with one arrow.
Absolutely, but the effectiveness, the efficacy of the monetary policy that is being delivered upon is being called into question. Whether or not actually a steeper yield curve would provide the banks with better funding, would bring back animal spirits, as we discussed earlier with Jim Reed, would allow maybe the economy to get back on a firmer footing. The transmission mechanism in Europe is the banks. We know the banks are in trouble. One way of dealing with that would be a steeper yield curve.
Well, I think that Draghi had a nice way to put it at his last press conference. They need low rates now in order to have higher rates into the future. So what may be a suffering now for banks will help regain some kind of profitability in the future. And then, of course, you have also to take into account that with the TLTRO, the European Central Bank is subsidizing banks. So at the same time, it takes money away through a very flat yield curve and negative deposit, but it's, on the other hand, it's subsidizing banks. So I don't think that that should carry too much weight into the deliberation of the ECB going forward.
You formerly ran operations there, market operations. Do you get a sense that maybe the central bank at the ECB has run out of paper to buy, that actually we need to change the mechanisms, the modalities of the way that the ECB acquires assets? What is your view on that?
Well, my reading of what Draghi said at his last press conference, whereby he asked relevant committees to look at the issue, is some kind of admission that there is a need of at least a review of the program and possibly a revision of the program. So I think indeed in December we may hear about the result of this committee, and we may hear about changes to the program, not only in terms of prolonging the program, but also technical changes, for instance, adding new asset classes to the purchases.